once again, everybody just kind of like talking.
So you want me to really talk this time?
Yeah, I'd just like you to really talk this time.
Just be silent.
Everybody sing Baby Shark. Yeah.
Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark. Oh my gosh. It was awful at camp, and it's awful now.
I'm gonna be put it after ringtone. The interview. It is gonna be my new ringtone. Everybody sings Baby Shark. It'll be great.
That's only gonna end poorly.
No, it'll be fine. All right, is everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
Sure. All right.
I should have.
Welcome to Booked All Night, a late-night podcast about young adult literature and sometimes middle grade, because middle grade is super fun, too. Hosted by myself, Jessica Tuckerman, Magdalene Ann,
Heyo.
and Daniel Stanton.
Hello.
I have all his latest edition stuff in here still, so be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcast fix. And leave a nice 5-star review of the show before you go. Then make sure to visit bookedallnight.blog for more book reviews, blog tours, and roundups, and to sign up for our newsletter. On tonight's episode, we're interviewing Rebecca Donnelly.
Yay!
Hello.
Author of How to Stage a Catastrophe, which was an Indies Introduce and Indies Next list honoree, and The Friendship Lie, which will... Oh, what is on here? So much stuff on my little my notes all over the place. Oh well. In any case, so the back copy reads, Cora Davis's life is garbage, literally. Her professor parents study what happens to trash after it gets thrown away, and Cora knows exactly how it feels to be thrown away. Between her mom and dad separating and a fallout with her best friend, 5th grade for Cora has been a year of feeling like being tossed into the dumpster. But Cora has learned a couple of things from her parents' trash tracking studies. Things don't always go where they're supposed to, and sometimes the things you thought you got rid of come back. And occasionally, one person's trash is another's treasure, which Cora and Sabella learn when they come across a diary detailing best friendship problems. Told in 2 intertwining points of view comes a warm, weary story of friendship, growing up, and being true to yourself. Written by Rebecca Donnelly, author of How to Stage a Catastrophe and The Friendship Lie. The Friendship Lie will speak to any reader who has struggled with what to hold on to and what to throw away. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's a lot of fun. So our first thing, we're actually going to prep the game for our Mad Libs that we're going to read later, which is what I asked your first page for.
Can't wait.
Yes, it's going to be fun. So the first thing I need is a first name.
I saw a muskrat in my neighbor's yard the other day.
Oh, wow.
And we were wondering what it was. So.
Well, that's fun.
That is fun. We're going to read that at the end of the podcast.
Excellent.
All right. So my first question is why garbage? And is garbage the weirdest thing that you have ever researched for a book? I do want to preface this with my favorite answer to this question has been killing an octopus with your teeth as the weirdest thing anyone has.
Not the one about the cow.
Oh, the cow inseminator?
Yes.
No, it's totally beaten out by How to Kill an Octopus with Your Teeth. if this is the weirdest thing.
I don't think I can top that one. But I will say I'm not sure that it's the weirdest thing that I have researched, because this picture book that I'm writing is called Cats Are a Liquid, and it's about the idea that cats behave like liquids because they fill anything that you put them into. Like if you've seen pictures of cats on the internet.
It's true, I have a cat. He's a liquid.
Yeah, exactly. So that might be a little bit weirder, but why garbage? So I forget where I came across this the study of garbology, which is an actual thing. It's there's an institute of it, I think in Washington State. And it's basically like you can feel good about, recycling your stuff, but what actually happens to it afterwards? That's kind of the idea. And how much of the things that are in our landfills are the things that we would expect to find there, right? So like diapers and things like that are a very low percentage, whereas food scraps and paper are a very high percentage, So it just seemed like a way to write about something environmental without writing a story of like environmental crusaders. You know what I mean? I wanted to have it in the background, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That does make sense. Like having being the only one today that read the book, because I got approved for it and nobody else did.
Dan literally joined the interview, the podcast, like 2 hours ago.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, because, you know, a lot of the writing, it does not come off as moralizing, which I think really helps to drive home the message with that, which is really done well.
Oh, thank you. I used to live, I lived in Berkeley, California for a little while, but I lived around Berkeley in Oakland and some other places. And it just, there's so much of life there that is sort of revolves around, you know, recycling and being eco-friendly without it being a big deal, I guess. I wanted to make it a little bit funny that it was this kid's life, you know, hence the like checking out what's in your garbage can at the end of the week and walking around. Like, we don't actually all walk around with trash grippers and pick things up off the sidewalk, but it seemed like a thing that would be perfectly possible to have to happen.
Well, that is actually, like, that's why I had requested it, because the first line for the back copy is, her life is garbage. I'm like, I like her already. Requests.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So were you a child who spent a lot of time outside like Cora and Sabella do?
Well, I mean, yeah, not, I grew up in a town called Alameda, which is another East Bay suburb of San Francisco. All the action here mostly takes place on the east side of the San Francisco Bay. So it's just a place that's very familiar to me. It's not like the wilderness by any stretch, but yeah, I was always out in my yard. I was always walking around. This was, you know, before anybody thought that you should like prevent your children from being outside and walking around on their own. So yeah, I mean, I was out and about. I was walking around my town. And I think I did kind of get into environmental consciousness when I was maybe a little older than they were, maybe 11 or so. So it kind of hit home to me to build that into their lives.
Okay, that's good. I did not spend a lot of time outside as a child, nor as an adult, because I hate being outside. I'm a little allergic to the air.
Right. So, I was wondering, were there any scenes or characters that you like wish you could have kept but had to cut, you know, for like the sake of space during your writing process?
Oh my gosh. So it's been rewritten a lot.
Maggie feels it.
I feel that.
I'm holding your hand right now.
Thank you.
So I'm going to try to think of something specific, but I mean, it was one thing when we sent it to my editor, and I probably rewrote half of it. I would not be surprised. And a lot of that was reshuffling. I'm trying to think of what I actually had to cut out. I mean, okay. Yeah, there was an entire subplot with a little robot, and her name was Lulu VanRobot.
I love Lulu already. Oh no. Jessica is so upset.
I'm so upset. I love robots.
So originally, because I don't know, I have not actually been a grad student in like the sciences. Danny did a little bit of everything. So she was like working for Cora's dad, but she was also doing something with robotics. And it was just, she had this cute little robot that was made out of cardboard, and it was based on something that I saw in a video online, and it recorded as well. And it played into the story because Cora helped her with it. She was supposed to use it as an educational tool to take to school visits, and it would project a little presentation and talk. And of course, it also ended up like recording something of Cora's, and it played a role in Cora and Sabella getting back together as friends. But it made no sense. Like it was, I tend to pile things in when I write because I like them, even if they don't all go together and even if they're not all necessary. And that one had to go, and I think my editor was really happy that she didn't have to tell me that it had to go. But it had to go.
I would 100% read a little like short story about Lulu.
Yeah.
Lulu VanRobot, that's right, because Cora had read the diary, so she knew Lulu Van Allen, so she named it Lulu VanRobot. Oh my God.
I would 100% read a whole book about Lulu VanRobot.
Same.
I love robots.
So you know
Right.
that you have at least 3 readers for that.
When you were younger, or even now, did you ever have a friendship like Cora and Sabella's?
Not exactly, no. I mean, I tried with their friendship, and I also tried in How to Stage a Catastrophe with my main character and his best friend to write really equal friendships. I didn't want to write a story where one character was like sort of the alpha friend and the other was the beta friend, I guess. I don't know. But so I was always in that position when I was a kid of being like the quiet one who would just go along with whatever somebody said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel there's a place for stories like that, but I really wanted a story where the reason I wanted for the friendship to be equal was because I didn't want the problem to be that they were like, one of them was, genuinely being a jerk, or they were growing apart because one of them liked fashion and the other one didn't, or something. Those are things that I see a lot in middle grade.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to be based on genuine understandings and confusion and things that could happen to anybody if you don't know how to communicate with somebody. So I feel like this is a friendship that I would have liked to have had, you know what I mean? Where it was a little bit more equal, a little bit more, 2 people coming together, and well, I mean 3 because Kyle is also part of their little group. But I love Kyle. But really between the 2 girls.
I also really liked that the siblings were included in those friends. Like when I was growing up, my sister often had her friends over, and it wasn't until I got older that I started being included as part of that. And I really like to see that at such a young age, that one, like, I really do love the equal friendship. I think that's so healthy to show in middle grade because there are a lot that are just like, I am the alpha friend.
And then they talk like that, and you're like...
Yeah, exactly. They talk like that. I'm the alpha. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says alpha friend. I'm humble. So humble.
The humblest.
The humblest.
You have a trophy that proves it.
I do. You got it for me.
I did. True signs of a beta friend.
That's a good book title. True Signs of a Beta Friend?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh, it is. You're welcome. Enjoy that. But you're right. That those are pretty like tropey relationships that happen in middle grade. So it was really nice to see something that was a universal problem. Like you can have a misunderstanding at any age with anyone, whether or not your close friends or even like acquaintances. I thought that was really great.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So what was your favorite scene to write in the Friendship Lie?
Well, I really enjoyed writing the scene where they are at Auntie Lake's house and they're playing charades, because I got to shout out some books that I like. But so the whole Trash Olympics thing came during my revision. It was not originally they were going to go to something called a trash in, which is something that I got from researching. It's basically just a big garbage sorting event. But then I I did nerd out a lot over a lot of the things in this book. But then I found something else as I was revising. I was trying to think of a way to make it actually fun, because that's a thing I often have to do the second time around. Once I get all the information out there, I have to figure out how to make it interesting. And I think it's Harvard who had something called the garbage games, where they do like a capture the trash kind of a thing. So that was a lot of fun to write as well. Just coming up with the names for some of these things. Some of them were, I think in the acknowledgments it says some of these things were names that came from other things, and some are ones that I made up. But yeah, that was a whole fun thing to read.
I'm mostly amazed at the stuff that wasn't made up. Like garbage games.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Trash Olympics is a real thing.
Wow.
And yeah. And
It's not just when people are
trash.
bad at the Olympics.
I think I made up Capture the Trash.
That's
Capture the
awesome.
trash.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's fun.
Oh my god.
So speaking of games.
Games not about trash, but about books. We're gonna play Never Have I Ever Spoiled My Own Book. Similar rules to the drinking game, except instead of drinking, we're gonna keep track, and if you go over half, then we run a giveaway for the Friendship Lie.
Okay.
All right. So, never have I ever written fan fiction.
Wait, yes, I wrote fan fiction of Sweet Valley Twins when I was in high school.
Wow.
This was
fun to hear books from my
pre-internet, you guys, so it's not like on Wattpad or anything, but I think it can.
Okay.
Right. Never have I ever based a character on a friend.
No, I'm gonna say I haven't actually based a character on somebody that I knew, unless you count me.
No.
Are you your own friend, Rebecca?
The universe
We have a really equal friendship.
You weren't the alpha friend in your own relationship with yourself.
Oh.
Luckily, no.
Oh, we're getting sad. Never have I ever name dropped an author in my work.
I title dropped in these, but I didn't name drop. I mentioned Two Naomis and Two Dogs in a Trench Coat Go to School. I don't know if that counts.
It does not.
No. Okay, then no.
Never have I ever secretly hated my cover art.
Oh.
What?
No.
I was like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I love the cover for Friendship.
Yeah,
It's very good.
yeah, it's gorgeous, and I don't know who would actually admit to that anyway. Cover artists are the best. So.
They are, yeah.
But I do genuinely love my cover art.
Oh, I'm still laughing. All right. Never have I ever squealed at the bookstore when I saw my own book.
Squealed. No, I haven't squealed.
Okay.
I'm going to squeal if I ever see it. I'm actually.
I mean, I'm going to just drop to the floor and cry.
I tell you what, if I see, that's partly because I didn't have I don't think Barnes and Noble carried it in their stores. I mean, like if I walked into a bookstore like out of the blue and saw it, maybe I would. But I have only gone in when I've been expecting to see it. So.
Well, you can also check out your local library, because I know that my library actually got a couple copies of it too. So.
Oh no! Well, I work in my local library, so we definitely.
Oh, me too. I also work in my local library.
Awesome.
Yay. So never have I ever cried from a bad review.
Yes, I have.
Oh. I don't like getting yeses to some of these, Oh. Never have I ever deleted more than 10,000 words from a draft.
Yes, with this, I took out over 20, I would say.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
And it was all about a robot. Man.
Other things, but yeah.
20K for Lulu.
That's going to be the name of the podcast episode. 20K for Lulu.
Never have I ever spent time organizing my desk in order to avoid writing.
Maybe. Yes. I would say yes to that.
Don't we all try to avoid it?
And right, and
I
other
would like
things.
to point to Exhibit A in the corner. My desk still covered with a whole bunch of shit. Sorry.
So much for not cursing.
Oh, I was doing so
Edit,
good not
edit.
cursing.
We'll be boop that one out. So, never have I ever gone to a coffee shop to get my writing done. I was reading the wrong line.
I was like, what? Never have you ever spoiled a coffee shop? Is that what you were gonna say?
I have, I have done that, but not often. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, deciding vote. Never have I ever dog-eared pages in a book.
Like actually bent them over to keep my place.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. I read a lot of books, you guys. I don't know. I'm going to say no, because I got my first Garfield bookmark when I was like 8 years old, and I never looked back. I don't think I've ever had to dog ear a page.
So Maggie wasn't keeping track, but we got to 5, so I'm going to say, like, yes, we will do this. So what we do in the event that you do half or more, we run a giveaway for the book. So when the book comes out, we will have a rafflecopter up on the site for fans, so they can enter to win a copy of the book.
Super cool. Oh, thank you. That's great.
You're very welcome.
Very exciting.
So back to the interview for the back 6 questions. I actually feel kind of bad for Marnie. The girl who breaks up and Sabella's friendship, because I think she's she totally sucks and she's mean, but I think she very clearly needs a friend. So I'm wondering, like, do you feel bad for her, or is she a bully, kind of plain and simple to you?
Well, I wanted to write her kind of like a villain character, just like a stock character. I think it's impossible to write any character in a story that has a lot of emotions in it and not feel bad. You know what I mean? Like, I that's why I brought her mom in there just a little bit here and there, just so you could see her mom is also kind of the same way, so you could get a little bit of an idea of that. But at the same time, I didn't want to complicate the story too much with her feelings, and that's also why Violet Dixon is not really explained very well.
Yeah.
She's like the parallel in the diary.
Yeah.
I like. Okay, well, so me coming back again with the sad questions. Have you ever had a bully like Marnie?
No. I never had anybody try to destroy a friendship like that. I think she very deliberately took something and tried. She was jealous, obviously, of the friendship between Cora and Cybella, and again, she doesn't have a backstory. She doesn't really have a motivation, and I think in some ways it's okay to do that. Like, I think it is okay to have flat characters like that, if everything else works out well. So no, she's a little bit more unrealistic to me than anybody that I've run into in my own life. The closest thing I ever had to a bully was somebody walked up to me in 6th grade and told me that they were going to beat me up for gossiping about their friend, but it never went anywhere. So,
What an empty threat.
Exactly. I was shaking, but it's all right. 6th graders.
Yeah. All right. So you did sort of touch on this, but I was wondering, like, where your story started and what was, like, the first scene you thought of, and how did you know it was a story worth exploring?
So the first scene in the first draft that I submitted to my agent, the very first line was something like, there was garbage in the bathtub again. And I think that line is still in there the way that it was. It's just later in the book. Yeah. So the idea was that here were 2 kids, Cora and Kyle, looking at their bathtub full of garbage that their dad was going to sort through from their apartment. And just so that he could prepare a statistical analysis of, what their apartment people were throwing away. So that's really where that part came from. And then as I wrote that a little bit more, I threw something in there about this character named Cybella, and I wasn't quite sure where she had come from, but it quickly became clear that the main plot of the story was going to be problems between those kids. I had to come up with a better way to frame it. And one of the comments that I had both from my agent and from my editor and some other editorial staff at Capstone who read it was they were surprised to find that there were point of view sections from Cybella's point of view later on, because so much of it is from Cora's point of view. And my reasoning behind that was that I really wanted to have what felt kind of like an uneven story. I didn't want to do a chapter by chapter. I really to me it felt a little bit more realistic to stick to Cora's point of view, and then because they each have half of this diary, so the first approximately half of the book is just from one character's point of view. That was like a little parallel that I tried to set up. I don't know if it's the sort of thing that anybody would notice, but that's where that came from.
I really did like the points of view, because in that sense, and even in the middle, there's kind of a point where we take a step back and we become a third party, and so we get yours, mine, and the truth of the situation, which we don't often get in that situation when we're in it.
Oh, I'm glad you like that. I was trying to come up with a way to tell the story that was, again, a little bit different from other things that I've read, because it's so I think sometimes when you have a dual POV, you want to do one chapter for each, back and forth. But it's all on the way they're going to tell a story, and this didn't feel like one of those stories.
Is it my turn?
I think so.
Okay. What books would you recommend to readers who are looking for an amazing middle grade read?
Oh my goodness. So I am right now, I'm a children's librarian, and we are getting ready next week to have our meeting for planning our next Battle of the Books, which is like the book trivia, competitive sports for nerds kind of thing that we do every year. Yes. And it's the best. So the books that I recommended for the one that we just had were The Thing About Jellyfish by Ali Benjamin, which is one of my all-time favorites. The Vanderbeekers of 141st Street by Karina Young Glaser. And I think those were the only two I recommended last year. So the ones I'm reading now, which I am highly recommending, are The First Rule of Punk by Celia C. Perez. And Stanley Will Probably Be Fine, which is by Sally J. Pla. It's her second book. She wrote The Sunday Birds. Okay. It came out in 2017. So the Stanley Will Probably Be Fine came out last year, and it's a really great story. It's like about Comic-Cons and this kid with anxiety and trying to be a superhero in his own life. It's a really great story. So all four of those.
Nice. Awesome. Alrighty, so we all really love the Friendship Lies cover, and we kind of touched on this a little bit during the game. But what books have you bought just for the cover?
Oh my goodness.
Maggie has bought at least 400 books.
Oh, at least 400 books just for the cover.
No, I believe it. I believe it. I don't know if you have this problem too, Maggie, but I think about books, and I'm around books all the time, and it's so hard to think about the ones that are not right in front of me. I'm like oversaturated.
I have so many of the books from my library just with me all the time. I can never even get to my books at home.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'm trying to think of some that I love. Oh, you know what cover I really loved recently was Shouting at the Rain by Linda Mullaly Hunt. That one just came out. That has a really cute cover. I love the cover of The Serpent's Secret by Sayantani DasGupta. That is the first in her, these are all middle grade. Again, it's the first in her series, Kiran Mala and the Kingdom Beyond. It's like based on Bengali folk tales. It has this really cool cover of these snakes and this the main character riding on top of them with her bow and arrow drawn.
It was one of my favorite covers that I saw.
Oh, Maggie just pulled up the Serpent Secret cover.
Mm-hmm.
That's really pretty.
It's very pretty. Love the cover.
It's very cool. And Game of Stars is the second one, and that has a great cover too.
Yeah, that's dope.
Those are awesome.
Shouting at the Rains is super cute. It's a
It is cute. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love like a concept cover like that.
Yeah. I wish more publishers or even bookstores had like book art posters so I could put these beautiful covers up in my apartment
instead of just
being weird and printing them out and putting them.
I wish. I mean, I don't have posters of my covers. I don't know. I'm wondering about getting some printed, but yeah, they don't always do that for every book, and I wish they did.
Oh, that would be.
I know. There's there's someone who does they're an agent. I forget who it is. I follow them on Twitter. They always post a image of the whatever book they just sold. Like he takes a poster of it or like a print of it, and he just hangs it in his room. So he's got like a line of all the books he's managed to sell hanging above his desk, and I think that's super motivational.
Oh yeah. Is that Eric Smith?
Yes, it was Eric Smith.
Yes.
Okay, I thought because I think I remember seeing one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So his Eric Smith's photo stream is either books that he sold or his dog.
Oh yeah,
the Agent Molly.
Yes,
she's a lovely dog.
Everybody ready for this Mad Lib?
Yes,
oh, yeah.
Very excited for this Mad Lib.
Okay. Minnie Button's life smelled like tomatoes. Probably 14 kids had worn it on 29 expeditions on the bay. Probably that had held a lot of cat while they were wearing it. She wanted to take it off, but that would be violating garbage rule number 462. Ping pong balls go on and splash on. Even if you were in the playground of the Mesa, not out on deck, you kept your lawnmower on. The phrenology instructors, a couple of springy-looking college students named Maggie and Davis, had made that very clear. Minnie wanted to say that she didn't need a rocket because she should have been on the Beaker in the 9th place. She knew how to juggle. She could shut her overboard and make it back to Jacket on her own. But if Minnie wasn't supposed to be there on a toilet data expedition on the basement bay with Cowie, the one mason jar she was purveying, sort of, maybe, to collect for 3 years, where was she supposed to be? She had no muskrat.
She had no muskrat. It's a beautiful ending to this.
Oh, that was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
I love Mad Libs.
Oh, they are tried and true. I love them too. Oh my goodness.
Cool. You never know what to expect. It's great. Alrighty, so we like to ask this of everyone who comes onto the show as our final question of the night. Are there any publishing professionals you'd like to give a shout out to today? Anyone from beta readers to agents or editors and marketers?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, so my powerhouse agent Molly Kurhan of the Bent Agency is brilliant. We've been together since 2013. So yeah, she's wonderful. Possibly the best agent anybody could ever have. My capstone editor Eliza Leahy is fantastic. She knows just when to give feedback and when to let me figure something out on my own, which is amazing. And the cover artist of the Friendship Lie, Ramona Kaulitsky, did a brilliant job. I think cover artists don't always get enough credit for what they do, but they are a huge part of selling our books. So got to give them a shout out. And everybody at Capstone, I'm sorry, I don't know all of their names. There's Beth Brezanov, and there's Allison Deering, and there's Jennifer Glidden in marketing. Basically just saying thank you to everybody at Capstone who's done such an amazing job, and to everybody at the Bent Agency who's helped with this book as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And that is all the time that we have for tonight. To our listeners, make sure that you check out the links in the show notes to follow the show or connect with us personally on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to visit bookedallnight.blog for more book reviews, blog tours, and roundups. Rebecca, did you want to plug any of your social media or your website where readers can find you?
Oh, sure. My website, RebeccaDonnellyWrites.com, is where you can find out about any of my upcoming books. There's also a contact form there. And I do Skype visits, so if any teachers are interested in that, we can talk about that. And my Twitter is _Becca_Donnelly. You can find me there saying dumb things. So.
Don't we all? It is Twitter.
Yeah.
So whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcasts, make sure you drop a 5-star review of the show. Good night, my little garbologists.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming on with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, this was so much fun.